So when I woke up this morning of this video, I did not expect to find what I had found. I hadn't realized that the winds overnight were going to get that strong. Evidently, I should have paid a little more attention to the detail of the weather, because we had a wind gust that was fast enough to take a set of panels and flip them over that were on a bracket, and to take the panels on the secondary rack that I've created, but had yet to secure all the panels, and blew them over as well. So this is kind of the scene I woke up to that morning, and yeah, it's what I was faced with. So I knew the winds had been blowing, and if you look at these flags here, even though the footage is sped up, the breeze was blowing that morning. So we evidently had some really gusty winds come through. I've never had it flip a set of panels before, so I'm trying to keep an eye on the dog, because she's out for her morning constitutional, and I'm trying to flip panels back over and see which ones. Now, in my defense, I just didn't lay these panels up here. I tied them up with zip ties, but the zip ties just weren't strong enough for the winds we had. Look at this panel that flipped over. Now, the one thing I didn't do on this panel that I will rectify later is put concrete blocks on the skids. And you can see Maddie, ooh, sorry about that, hitting the microphone. Maddie's coming into the shot there and checking to see what Daddy's doing. So I wanted to get these panels set back up as best I could, get them plugged back in so they could make some electricity, because the day was going to be, sunny and beautiful. There we are, heading back into the house. So after Maddie finished her constitutional, I decided to go back outside, because I wanted to go ahead and start tying down these solar panels, because the winds were just going to get stronger throughout the day. So you see me doing my best over there. The wind's probably blowing 20 miles an hour, gusting up to 35 as I'm trying to get these panels connected back up and plugged in, so at least I can get them producing some electricity to offset the cost of electricity at the house. I mean, it's going to be a beautiful day, and I just wanted to make sure that we were making as much solar energy as we could. So I'm just trying to get the panels aligned here, adjusted. I didn't have time to do this. I was worried about the dog. When it gets a bright sunny day with high winds, we get a lot of hawks out here, and they have been known to take a small dog, and Maddie May only weighs about 8 pounds, or 6 pounds if even that. So we're not taking any chances. So after she finished what she needed to do, I took her in the house and came back out and started working on these panels. Now, I've already broken one of these panels due to wind blowing them away, and I thought, well, the wire ties would be strong enough, and that surely I would get out there before we had another windstorm to come up and possibly blow these panels away. And I was unfortunately wrong on that assumption. So I went back in and got some more tools and prepared to start attacking this. No time like the present, right? So if you don't know what it is I had to do, I had to screw a couple of holes into the panels, which are aluminum, with a drill bit, and then put a couple of bolts in each panel, and then connect that up to a bracket, and then the bracket would hang onto that top wooden rail and draw its strength from screws being screwed into that top wooden rail. Now, granted, I only was putting 2 screws, or am only putting 2 screws into the solar panels. That should be adequate for my area out here. We get a lot of high winds out here. They'll blow at 30 to 40 mile an hour, and in the spring we get gusty winds off of thunderstorms. And I'm hoping this will be enough. Now, I hoped that the wire ties or the zip ties would be enough, and turns out I was dead wrong on that. So time will tell on this, but it doesn't change the fact that as I was installing these brackets, I was fighting the wind, and you can see I'll take a pause every once in a while, and you'll just see my arm go up on the front of a panel, just kind of hold it in place. And then, I have to go in, use the restroom or answer the phone or take care of whatever else is going on, and come back out and attack it again. And here I go. So, yeah, I suggest, if what slows you down on most jobs is not being organized, not having your tools. So I have a go bag for like air conditioning, plumbing, and it has everything in it I need to do plumbing work or electrical work or whatever. And then you can add or subtract tools to the package as you need it. So I went inside and got my go bag, I guess, for screws and nuts, and it turns out halfway through this I didn't have enough bolts to finish it anyway. My goal was to get all these panels secured so that the wind would not catch them and blow them away, and unfortunately the wind had other things in store for me, as you will soon see. So if you pay close attention to that panel I just worked on, we're all going to see it take a little trip. Because at this moment in time, the wind speed kicked up, and I believe they said we had a 56 mile an hour wind gust come through. And you can see what it did to that panel. It's a 70-pound panel. It just caught it and blew it over. Well, I decided to continue on with what I was working on. There's nothing I could do about that panel that flipped over except put it back in place, but I didn't want to do that until I was ready to actually secure the panels to that board. That's what that box of screws was I just brought out. So I'm trying like crazy to get the rest of the ears on these panels, and hoping that that panel, which landed on its face, did not break like I had one of the other panels break, because those panels are 60 or 70 bucks a piece, plus you figure I paid $30 for each panel to have them shipped. So it's $100 a panel. That's a lot of money. Now you can break a panel and it'll still produce electricity, but I frankly wouldn't trust it. Now look around me. Even though I've sped this footage up, you get an idea of how strong those winds were blowing out there that day, and I had no choice. I was all in at this point and had to get these solar panels mounted, and I was determined I wasn't going to lose another one. So it looks like I've got the majority of the panels are now tied down, and I'm ready to go tackle that panel and flip it upright and make sure it didn't break. But it looks like I'm still screwing down the other panels. But I'm going to make my way around to the front here, grab that panel that flipped, and see if it's broken or not. And luckily, it wasn't broken. But let me tell you, trying to get that thing up on the wood, and you see the wind is just blowing. I'm deciding, well, let's wait a minute or two before I try to lift this into the air and become a human parasailer over my septic field, because that wouldn't be fun or pretty, and I bruise easily. So I'm just kind of waiting for the wind to die down just a smidge so I can lift that panel into place and get it screwed in. And I'm getting my table ready and all the stuff, moving the other panels, and there I go. So now it's time. Now this one, fortunately, I had already put the ears on it, So I had a head start and was able to just simply put the 2 wood screws in, or deck screws in is what I'm using. Some long 3.5-inch deck screws. And I managed to get the panels secure. And then, of course, I needed 2 concrete blocks to hold down those other panels, so I schlepped them out there to give some ballast for those other panels that blew away. Instead of being stupid and letting it happen again, I wasn't going to take any chances. And about that time, my neighbor showed up. This is the guy that's getting my is going to take over my old lawnmower. Going to get rid of it and rehab it and repurpose it. So we stood and chatted for a while, right as I finished the work on the solar panels. All right, so it's been a productive day. So the problem is I put PVC in. This is the last time I'm ever putting PVC in outside. So what I did was I got smart. I had 1-inch PVC running up here and it cracked from the freezing. So I just took my 3/4-inch PEX and ran it inside the 1-inch PVC. That does 2 things. It protects the PEX from being smashed or whatever, and it also protects it from UV. And then what I'll do is wrap this last little section of PEX here to keep it from being exposed to the UV. There's a split that goes off to the other side of the house. We got to run a new pipe, a 3/4-inch PEX. But for now, I've just hooked it up to this spigot over here. Now let's go around to the back of the house. I'll show you what I've done back there. And yeah, my whole house was built in '97. Is plumbed with PEX B. And we haven't had a single problem. We've never had, we've had freezes. We've had the lines freeze in the house. We've never had, knock on wood, a burst pipe or anything like that. It's just been easy going and worked. And so I was not a big fan of PEX until I lived with it for a while. Now that I've had it a while, and you see what PVC does, is there's a split pipe right there. Right, remember last year when I hooked all this up and was so proud of it? Well, the problem is it froze from here all the way over and cracked all of this plumbing. See how it's separated? So I just put I just converted from PVC to PEX, 3/4-inch adapter, and then I ran another line up here under, so we'd have another spigot here at the back of the house. And then there's a shutoff valve right there for this part of the water going up to the front of the house and to the back. And then if these lines freeze during the winter, who gives a shit? They're not going to crack. I need to get a little check valve thingy here. You can put a drain in one of these and then you just push a button and the water drains out for the winter. And then the other valve here turns off the house. This valve is cracked. Now right now it's holding water, but it's going to have to be cut out of there and a new valve put in. And so what I'm going to do is cut the piping over here on this side of the valve, but I got to turn off the main water because I don't have a shutoff down here for the main water other than this one. But yeah, I love this stuff, and we just went with 3/4-inch PEX. It's plenty enough for the water pressure we need outside. And now the spousal unit has water because he's been schlepping buckets to the backyard here to water the birds. Yeah, with a heart condition, no less, so God love him. Now he can just poor thing. Oh, you poor thing. Don't you spray me with that hose either. Not. So, and then there's a little PEX adapter that goes to regular shutoff valve. And this is 3/4-inch shutoff valve, and then we got a long hose. So now we got water to the back of the house. So the other thing I've been doing is working on my solar panel array. So let's go look at that. We'll do it all in one video. So I finally got the rest of my T-posts up, and I realized as I put these posts in that I was pointing, these T-posts are not pointing directly south. They're a little bit southeast. So I did a course correction, and you can see how these things, so these are just T-posts and they're pounded into the ground. And they have this little bracket on them. Hooks into the T-posts, and then there's a screw on each side, and these are pressure treated 2x4s, and you just run them down the line and secure them, and they're pretty damn secure. It's going to take a mighty wind to pull them out of the ground. And then for these, for the solar panels, I bought these brackets. I've only got one screw in them, but that's better than zip ties. And then there's a bolt up under here. You can see how that's bolted in. So I've now managed to tie down all these panels so that they won't blow away anymore. And you can see where I went. We'll come down to the end. So all of them are tied in. They're all secure. They're not going anywhere. Will they survive a 90-mile-an-hour wind gust? No. They'll survive a 50-mile-an-hour wind gust. But see, look, see how my row had to turn so I can get more south? And so you're looking west. So that board actually is pointing west. So we got kind of a concave design. But this is, keep in mind, this is all temporary. I just want to get these panels up. And then this is the one that blew over. That set of panels is the one that flipped over completely. And you see here, I don't even have a mount for that panel. But what I did was I brought down some concrete blocks and used them on there just to keep the wind from lifting it. Now keep in mind, we had close to a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust out here. That's why things were blowing around. But it does get windy out here. And it stays that way pretty much all the time, except for today, thank God. Because I was able to get the plumbing done. And then, you know, it's now spring, so I've got a lot to clean up in the yard. I've got a neighbor coming over trying to get this old Troy-Bilt running. Tells me the engine is seized, but I never had any trouble with it. I just had trouble with the deck bearings going off. So now the other thing I did today while I had the water off is I went ahead and teed in under the sink here. You can see the tee I added to the cold side of my water supply, and then I just exited it out the side of the commode, and then I got a valve here. I need to figure out how I'm going to permanently mount that. I tried to get that over. I may just do a little jog and then over, or leave it. And it goes up the wall, goes up over the door, through the wall, and then comes up over here, comes out over here to a T, comes down this side of the wall right here, and then we've got a faucet. Now, this faucet is currently off. It's a quarter turn faucet, and it's not currently on. I don't leave it on. That's what the master valve there is for. And then I have another one over the door here. So I'm able with a 10-foot hose to plug into here and fill any of these aquariums up here or down here. In addition, I'm able to fill the ones over to here, and then with this pipe, with this hose, it's a little 10-footer, I'm able to hook it up here and also water the tanks out here, here, and here. So just, I was considering running plumbing out here, but I don't want to, the walls are bad enough in here. You see, we need to do some work. The last sheetrock guy we hired didn't know what the hell he was doing. But anyway, I digress. I don't want to run plumbing out here. I just want to be able to screw into this, run a hose over here with a valve on it, and turn it on and off, and fill my tank. So that's what I've accomplished. You can see I had it all laid out. I even put little clips for the PEX pipe. I was going to run something out here like that, and then have this come off of the main pipe, and then that to fill the aquarium. And I just decided it was more trouble than it was worth. Why complicate my life? I want to make it as simple as possible. So that's why I did it the way I did it, and I'm quite happy with it. Now let's get we'll get all the floor cleaned up, get the toilet cleaned. It's time, and clean the bathroom up, and because we're done with the plumbing in there. I just got a little finish up work to do out here, and just wanted to show you something stupid I did. So one broken panel wasn't enough. I needed to go ahead and break another. So that's this panel. And I mean, I busted it good. I dropped it right on its fucking face, or right on its flipping face. Hit a piece of concrete, shattered. Now, it's still usable, mind you. I won't be using it. But there you go. What could be better? You see how they're curved? Yeah, that's because I was going more west than I was north. So we did a little course correction, but it's okay. So let's go look. So I'm short one panel, or actually two. There's another one over there. But as you can see, my temporary mounts, they start here. I've got a single screw in each side of each panel. They're not going anywhere. It would take a 90, 100 mile an hour wind to flip these over, to pull them out. I mean, maybe. And at that rate, the house would probably be gone. So I'm not going to really worry about wind load on these. And they're in here to generate electricity. So I finally got the rest of the mounts in. Got them put on. I need to clean the panels now. These are some of the panels that were stored, so they're dirty. I've got all the wires connected. They are producing voltage. I went ahead and plugged them in just as the sun went down behind that house, just to make sure, the panels weren't loaded. Before unplugging them, you want to be very careful with DC voltage because it'll arc on you if it's high and got enough amps. Anyway, so here's all the mounts. They're in the ground. You can see they're not going nowhere now that they've got weight on them. I did have a little boo-boo on one of the screws, but yeah, a couple of them actually. But these panels, they won't be going anywhere. I mean, I know, famous last words, but as you can see, come around the front, I've still got room for one more panel over here, and then I'll put another row in. But you can see the panels are pretty dirty. Pretty dirty. They've been sitting over there in storage. And I think they're all at a 35-degree angle. That's what I got most of my panels at. These panels in the front will be going. I'm going to find another home for them. But there you go. First row is up. I'm thinking I'm going to need two 30-foot rows of panels. So 60 feet of panels, 300, 400 watt panels, in order to handle the load that I have. Again, these are only temporary. These are just here to help pay for the panels and the equipment and make me a little money. So the money I save on electricity, then I can put into moving the array out there. It'll eventually be over there where that fence post is. There's a little metal fence post right there. That's where it'll be. So that's the plan. My neighbor has been over here trying to get this old tractor to run. And I gave it to him and said, hey, it's yours. You want it. Last I knew, the engine was running on it. So we got the plumbing installed. We still need to do some wrap up on the plumbing, but the big deal now is I can not have to worry about these panels blowing away and getting broken. So I can focus on other stuff. You can see I got a hell of a mess to clean up. Got a burn pile. Got to clean up this mess here, get some order to that. Fix my back porch because it's leaning awfully precariously. Yeah, live and learn. But anyway, baby steps. And so we got all the panels mounted. I got the cables somewhat protected. Some of them are not in there in conduit, but I can rectify that fairly quickly. All right, so let's take a look at the 24-volt system. And excuse me, I didn't put my makeup on today. So the 24-volt system now has got two sets of panels. The 400-watt panels, I think they're, I forgot the brand. The ones I bought a year and a half, 2 years ago. Got a good deal on them. I bought 4 of them. They're not producing anywhere near what they're advertised to produce. I don't get 400 watts out of even a single one of these panels for whatever reason. So, but they perform, you know. So I put them on with the 24 volt system. You can see right now I'm getting about 700 watts out of them at 110 volts. And the bifacial panels, the 200-watt cheap bifacial panels that I bought from. All right, so those bifacial panels are, I think they're eco-worthy. They're either eco-worthy or Renogy, you know, and Renogy is just, you know, okay, they're eco-worthy bifacial. I'm looking at the specs right now. So they're 52.6 by 26.4 panels between 2 and 300 watts. They produce their open circuit voltage is 23 volts at 9.85 amps, 10.5 amps. So they're good panels, you know, and they produce. You can see they're producing 4 panels are producing 560 watts, so they're doing well. So that's the 24-volt system. What I want you to see now with the new panels is the 48-volt system, and as you can see now, we have got quite a bit more. We're producing quite a bit more electricity. It's only 11:20 right now in the afternoon, and it's a partly cloudy day, not bright sunshiny like it was yesterday. But you can see yesterday we were getting peaks of like 3,200 kilowatts or 3,200 watts, 3.2 kilowatts was the maximum we got, and then we got some more again, about 2,800 or 2.8 kilowatts in the afternoon. So what it now enables me to do is run the 48-volt critical loads completely off of solar all day long, and then run it off battery at night so that I'm not consuming power from the grid. That's where we've become now. Now that's only on a sunny day, and I've only got 4 batteries, so I've only got 20 kilowatt hours of capacity, but I'll work on that next. So now evidently I have enough panels to panel my system, and that's not even including the fence. It is including the fence, but they're positioned in such a way that they're not producing anywhere near the amount of power as you can see the other identical panels are pointed due south. So I'm going to remedy that this weekend. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to lay out the new 30-foot panel span at the back of the lot, because I've now got to the point where we can afford to buy the wire to hook all those panels up, and then I'm going to start migrating all those panels out to the back 40. I'm going to start with the 100-watt panels and the 195-watt bifacial panels. I'm going to move them first because they'll be at the front of the row of panels. And now is a good time to do it. The weather's nice, and I've actually got some free time, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to move them out there. But as you can see, the back row of 300-watt panels is producing a good amount of energy during the day, and pretty much I run the house off of this. Now, keep in mind, this battery is being shared. This battery bank is being shared with my EG4 6000 XP unit as well, and that is producing a good amount of power. It's got 2 solar charge controllers in it. So it's got 2 solar charge controllers in it, and those are my 100-watt and my those are all my 100-watt panels are connected to this. So at PV1 I've got about 600 watts, and PV2 I got about 700 watts. So it's powering the load, which is so about 1,000 watts right now coming in on that EG4 6000 XP. Now right now what that EG4 6000 XP is powering are my mini splits and Big Bertha. So Bertha's all on her own is pulling about 300 watts of power. That's probably an EPS line 1 is where that's coming from. And then the rest is coming from the mini splits around the house because it's cool outside. We don't need any heat, and we don't need any air conditioning. So shouldn't be consuming a lot of power. But there we go. Now that we got those panels out there and producing, you can see that it's actually producing some power, and you can see our production on solar has increased quite a bit. Let's see here. Well, let's go back to the other one. Let's see how our solar is doing for the week. So yeah, so we've consumed 80 kilowatts of 75 kilowatts of power since Monday, and 46 and a half kilowatts of that is coming from the sun, and the rest came from the grid. So 23 kilowatts from the grid, down from what it was. Let's see what it was the previous week. Yeah, so we had 91 kilowatts from the grid last week. Wow. Wow. 76 kilowatts of that, almost half, came from solar. So that's pretty good. We had a total consumption of 168 kilowatt hours. So let's see. So far we've done 80. But you can see we're getting more of that from solar than we are from the grid. So that's a good thing. Means we've increased our productivity. It should be flat over on the 24-volt system. Yeah, we're consuming about 60 kilowatts. 35 kilowatts of that came from the grid. So, yeah, as you can see, I'm a big fan of the Victron system. So, I'm not going to buy another EG4, even though these units have served me well. They've done well, and I like the fact that it's all in one. But if I need to get another inverter, which I probably will next year, it'll be another 48 volt Victron, not a EG4.
I've been watching old Unky Joe. From Texas heat to where the cacti grow. Fixing server solar power in the land. Hoping that his plans all stand. Making life a touch more bright underneath those southern lights.